Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls, and specifically all of you spiritual, mystical warriors out there. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. I am going to talk about spiritual warfare, the battle of good and evil that we are all experiencing right now on planet Earth, that we have incarnated into. This battle between light and dark, so to speak. I don't like to call it light and dark. It's a little bit more accurate, even though we're kind of simplifying and dumbing down what's going on between good and evil, but I kind of prefer to call it that. We're going to dive into this, and I want you to understand where your place is, what your role is as a spiritual warrior, as a mystical warrior, because many of you, there's so many of us that have incarnated onto this planet in this lifetime to become the spiritual warrior that we are meant to become in order to shift into the good side, the light side of this war. Okay? So let this sink in. When you are born, you are incarnated, you have to first awaken. You have to go through the egoic deaths, the birth and rebirth cycles. You have to receive and experience everything that everybody has to receive and experience while they're here, which is the imprinting, the brainwashing, the enslavement, the control. You are automatically born into a scenario where you are conditioned and trained to be an enslaved puppet for the elites, the cults that rule this world. Okay. Everybody's born into that. I was born into that. If you are alive on this planet, you were born into that, which means you've run programs of separation consciousness, programs that were egoic programs and patterns and behaviors that are harmful to other beings on this planet, to whatever degree you were harmful to other beings on this planet. Do you understand? And that is going to vary across the board depending on your particular individual life experiences and how programmed you became, how wounded you became in the process, how traumatized you became in the process. There are people that are so traumatized by their childhoods and by society and all this imprinting, energetic imprinting and brainwashing and all the shit from the elites that rule the world and all the cults that rule the world, the religions, which are cults that partially rule the world. So much brainwashing and imprinting is done on people. And then you have your individual family cycles and your individual geographic location that you were born in. And you chose to be, a man or a woman, or throw anything else in there that could make things harder for you. Maybe the skin tone that you chose to be born into, things like that. Your soul chose to be a part of this incarnation. And for some of you, I mean, this is what we were born into. Do you understand? Like it's hell on earth. we were born, we chose to be born into hell on earth. We don't get to escape the rules that are here and what we're incarnated into. Everybody has to wake up to it. Do you understand? Everybody has to wake up. At some point in time, that process of awakening activates with different people depending on various things. They're all variables. It's very unique to you and your individual specific life journey. Okay. Now, if you understand that, And that's just a reminder of what most of you, of course, already know to whatever degree. I'm going to take us to a deeper level today in what you're becoming, the spiritual warrior that you meant to become, and understanding what that means. You can't become a warrior and go into battle if you can't, quote unquote, fight. Now, I'm using what I call the old world, not the new earth. I'm using old world language and analogies. I'm going to be using old world analogies with a lot of words like fighting and war and battle and warfare. And only because it makes it a lot easier to understand the teaching that I'm offering in this episode. Okay. I typically don't want to use old world language that just represents separation and fighting and battling and violence and all those things. We need to elevate out of all of those things. However, for this episode, there is a reason why I'm going to use those analogies a lot more than I normally would. And it's just, I want you to understand that it just, with what I'm about to teach you, it'll make it a lot simpler if I do not use any newer language or new types of analogies or introduce any new language into this. It's much easier to reference what we already understand. Okay? So, we come into this incarnation and we have been born into hell on earth, and we've chosen it because we want to make a difference. We need to wake up and move through that whole process of awakening, no matter who you are, no matter what your particular mission is on this planet, what your soul mission is, no matter to what degree you're supposed to help the beings and the people on this planet in the various forms that everybody came here to incarnate to help out. Okay. Everybody plays their different role, but we're all supposed to work in oneness. We're all supposed to wake up, unite together as people are awakening and healing and elevating out of their traumas and awakening to their powerful soul missions. That's when we're supposed to unite together to actually enter into the right side, the light side, the good side of this war. So here I'm going to go back to what I started to say earlier, and I think you'll understand it better now. Because we have been incarnated and raised with the degree of hate, misogyny and sexism and rape and violence and war and the racism and the inequality and all the things, the trapping and suffering and trapping you in survival mode so that only a small percentage of the world's population can afford to live in such a degree of financial freedom they can live whatever dream life they want to have, right? Everybody was born into that. But because of that, everybody's automatically born into, weighted on the side of darkness and evil to perpetuate darkness and evil and enslavement and inequality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on this planet. Do you understand? It's like by default. That does not mean you were born in sin and that fucking religious bullshit. That's not the same thing. It doesn't mean that you're all evil people. But I can tell you, you've all done harmful, ugly, evil things. And it's just to what degree that you've been imprinted upon, brainwashed, conditioned. If you were conditioned in an extreme amount of toxic masculine and you were this misogynistic, sexist fucking pig, and you treat women as nothing but objects that you're here to fucking go through, right? And you did that for a lot of years of your life. Just, yeah, I fucked this bitch, blah, blah, blah. And you were like that for years before you started to awaken and be like, oh my God, I don't want to be a horrible piece of shit of a fucking man anymore. Holy shit, I'm embarrassed. I'm disgraced. This is disgraceful. I'm ashamed. And you start to truly awaken and heal so that you are a divine man, a man of honor, the way of honoring, the way of equality, that you realize how you were really showing up. And if that's the kind of evil and darkness that you were participating in and perpetuating on this planet, yeah, you were on the dark side of this big, huge, massive spiritual war. Do you understand? Hear what I'm saying to you. When you used to look at animals as nothing but objects, many of you still do, that they're somehow inferior because it's like a dog or a cat. Well, they're not human. I mean, come on, it's just a pet. It's just a dog. They can be left home alone all day doing nothing by themselves, and I expect them to just lay there doing nothing. No nurturing, no love, no mental stimulation, no emotional stimulation, no the way of connection, no connection when they're fucking pack animals, right? But you somehow expect them to just be good and not chew anything up. Oh, don't worry, I keep mine in a crate. Well, good crate training is actually the way of responsibility, and they should be crate trained, except that they're not meant to sit for 8, 9, 10 hours in a fucking crate, in a box, in a prison cell, while they're not being exercised and stimulated and trained and taught. They're not being raised by you. You're here to raise them. And if you're not yet functioning where you can see that, then you promote inequality, objectification, inferior and superior, where you're superior. You go do whatever the hell you want to do in your life. What do you do with your dog? And then you expect your dog to just be there for you when you're sad or you need company. So you're using them. You're a user. And that is some form of abuse and some form of neglect. And it is always objectification and a form of dehumanization to animals, right? That's a term people understand. Like, you dehumanize when you objectify, right? So making a word up, de-animalize, like however you want to think of it with animals, quote unquote dehumanization, we apply that to them because we treat them as objects. Do you understand? You're still on the dark side of the fucking battle out there, the spiritual battle that's going on this planet. Let it sink in. So think about all of the conditioning, all of the brainwashing, all of the treatment of each other, all of the being tricked because we're too fucking stupid to wake up for real yet, being tricked into carrying out things like misogyny and racism and then acting like, you know, acting out the hate that comes with that. Let's put it that way. And we're stupid enough to fucking fall for it. We're stupid enough to think that, like, the color of our skin matters and means something when it's a vessel that we're temporarily wearing. It's a suit we're temporarily wearing while we're here. Now, there are deeper meanings to the tone, the skin color. Like, there's no white and black. That's all shades of brown. Let's get real. And you've chosen a certain skin color for many, many reasons. Your soul chose that for many reasons. So the tone of brown you are, lighter or darker, right? You've chosen that for a reason. Now, we're not going to go in this episode as all the reasons why, but I'm bringing all of these examples up for a reason. That you are born into all of this. And the truth is, the odds are against all of us in a sense. So this is actually really positive. So just stay with me. Bear with me for a moment. This is not negative. This is not negative. You're like, this really sounds negative so far, Rachel. I promise this is not a negative thing. And you'll understand why in a few minutes. But the odds are against us. We have incarnated, it's such a high degree of difficulty. This game that we're playing, and it's a spiritual war. It is at such a high degree of difficulty. Everything is stacked against you for you to achieve what you came here to achieve. Everything is stacked against you. The anxiety, the depression, being trapped in survival, you don't know how you're going to survive. That alone makes it very near impossible to wake up for real, authentically awaken. And I'm not talking about this fake pseudo spiritual fucking bullshit that is just more degrees of and variations of complete and utter fucking unconsciousness. But you're spiritual, that means you're woke. You're not fucking woke. And by the way, if you're woke, you're fucking unconscious. Woke is not the same thing as being authentically awakened as a being. If you're woke, you're fucking lost. Okay, this new age spirituality fucking bullshit that's out there, it is another form of distraction. It's a fly trap, and you're the fly. You think you're waking up when you're having all your orgies fucking each other everywhere and your cuddle parties, and you think that somehow is spirituality. There's no judgment. Don't you dare project that, because it doesn't come. And if you're new, just listen and try to learn something if you're new to these teachings. Okay? There is never judgment here. There's no such thing as inequality except for what we create. And there is no inequality coming from here, which means there is no inferior or superior that exists. Sure as fuck doesn't happen over on this side of things. So learn the difference between what I am teaching to you. And if you are not at a level of consciousness where you can comprehend the teaching just yet, that's okay. But then don't do what you've been brainwashed to do, because this is what I'm talking about. Attack, attack, attack. Oh my God, you're so judgmental. Blah, blah, blah. Let me show you the evil and the unconsciousness and the stupidity in me. But I'm going to project it by my commenting on your page and pretend like it's you. This is how stupid we are. This is how fucking brainwashed we are. And you're supposed to be mature enough to elevate into the actual spiritual warrior that you came here to become and achieve, so that you could enter into the light side of this spiritual war. And until you can do that, guess what you're aiding? Guess who you're aiding, whether you fucking want to admit it or not? The elites that rule this world, the cults that rule this world, everybody that is enslaving and brainwashing everyone else on the planet and benefiting from it. You're helping them. You're fueling all of those processes, all of those organizations, all of those corporations, all of those governments across the world. You're actually aiding them in the exploitation of all beings. And you think you're on the good side of this war, of this spiritual war. If your knee-jerk reaction is to comment nasty fucking comments when you do not take the time, let me study, let me listen, let me learn, let me listen to 20 more things. Oh, maybe I should take some classes and learn and get educated and then form an opinion. And the fucking ironic thing about that, your opinion doesn't mean jack shit on this planet. You're in the unconscious, ignorant stage of things still, unawakened stage of things, if you think your opinion fucking means something. Nobody's opinion means anything. Opinions don't fucking matter. What the fuck would I give a shit about anybody's opinion? Your opinions come from your ego. Anybody triggered yet? Maybe you should leave. You can't handle these teachings. That's the truth. If you think your opinion matters, nobody cares about your stupid fucking opinion. It comes from ego. The only thing that matters is the universal way of oneness, the way of truth. What is the universal truth in this scenario, in this topic, in this exchange between two people? What is the universal truth here? That's all that matters. Your opinion doesn't fucking mean anything. And until you can awaken enough to those things, you're fueling the elites and the cults and the demonic forces and the evil that rule this world. Because you're still too unconscious, aka dumb and blind, to see the difference. You're promoting judgment, projection, violence by attacking and being nasty. And you think you're a spiritual person helping the planet because you do Reiki, or because you're a life coach, or because you're a whatever. Have you woken up yet? We're running out of time. Maybe get your shit together. So if you cannot understand that part that I've offered so far, you're not going to be able to understand the next part. And it is critical that you do, because I know the majority of the people that come here and follow this podcast and listen to me as a teacher, you are the spiritual warrior that I am talking to. You came here for one hell of a mission, my friend. You came here for one hell of a mission. You have very, very powerful things to achieve on this planet to help heal and elevate this planet and all the beings on this planet. And I want you to achieve that without question. But you have to find what your real power is. And that power you can't activate even half the degree to what you could when you still live in ignorance and lack of self-awareness. That's why everything that we offer in our classes, in our programs, at our mystical university, at Masters of Self University, is finding your inner power, healing your traumas, and healing your wounds first. That is always the foundational method. Why? Because we don't need any more idiots on the evil, dark side of things to perpetuate and make it harder for those light warriors that are doing their job, that have awakened enough, healed enough, elevated enough, that they are actually on the light side of this spiritual war. I want all of you to shift over to the side of the light. All of you. You can't do that if you bury your head in the sand, and you can't do that if you can't handle the fucking truth. And you can't do it if you're like, I'd be able to listen to you more if you didn't curse. Go fucking suck a dick. You want to know why? If you can't handle a few fucking F words, how the fuck can you handle demons taking over human bodies and sucking the life force energy out of people? How the fuck can you handle that? How can you handle the fucking torture of animals, the brutal fucking torture of babies and children and animals and other human beings with no fucking regard for life at all? How can you handle that and say you're a fucking warrior on this planet, but you can't handle me dropping some F-bombs? Get the fuck out of here. You're not a fucking warrior. You're a pathetic little brainwashed baby. We need warriors to fight this fucking war. Oh, I can't handle you say fuck too many times. Oh, my ears. How are you going to handle satanic worshipers where there are millions upon millions of them on this fucking planet that live right next to you and are probably also in your family and you don't even fucking realize it yet? And they rape and murder babies. How are you going to handle healing that and changing that on this planet if you can't even handle the fact that I raise my voice and I say F this and I tell you all to go suck a dick when you're not awakened enough to realize what I am actually teaching to you? If you can't handle foul language, you can't handle anything that's actually going on this planet. And guess what? That means you're a burden to all the warriors who are doing the real work. You're a burden. You make it harder on them. How fucking dare you? Did I get your attention yet? So here's the deal. With the spiritual war that is going on this planet, if you think you're helping and in favor of the light and doing your best to be on that side of things and you haven't mastered yourself, you're not on that side of things. Our planet, we are, each one of us, we're an individual being living in a larger being called Earth. That Earth lives inside a larger being called a galaxy. Think about how many beings are living inside of just a galaxy. All the planets, the suns, the stars, the whatever, all in a galaxy, the moon. All of those are beings that live inside of a greater being, which is the universe. And some even say, and you think the universe is the universe is the universe, it's the vastness and it's, eternal and it's infinite. And yet some say that there's a super universe beyond the universe. Now, how they can quantify that in some way? I have no idea. And does it even make sense? Isn't it kind of redundant to say a super universe versus a universe because of what the definition of a universe is? Sure. But I'm not here to argue that. I don't care. But do understand that whether we can go to a super universe or just a universe, I don't care. Understand that you're still a being inside of a larger being, a living being. Earth is a living being. And the galaxy is a living being. Now think about all of that, and that's inside of the universe, which is a living being. And then go beyond that, and you're talking about the source creator of all, because the source creator is the universe, are the planets, are the stars, are you and me incarnated into this form, are deer and antelope and alligators and birds. Do you understand? So in this galaxy universe, there is a spiritual war that has been going on for a long time now. And we're basically the central point of that, us meaning here on Earth, Earth is. And the evil that is trying to, that is really in this war, in this warfare, is trying to suck in and take over Earth, and all of us using our life force energy to just suck the life force energy out of us. Now, if you want to go down a rabbit hole and follow the teachers that teach that stuff specifically, please do. Please do. I'm not going to go into detail about that. That's not what I'm here to offer, and not what I'm here to teach as the spiritual teacher of what I'm here to teach of oneness consciousness. I'm mentioning it because I want you to understand something, if you have at least a little bit of a concept of that. What you are here to do, that macro, and I mean when we talk about the universe and then the galaxy and then the planet, when we talk about the spiritual war that we're in, evil is basically trying to take over planet Earth and rule this Earth and all the beings on it for their own, purpose, their own uses. They want slaves. I'm just going to keep that real simple. And I know I'm watering things down for those of you who know a lot more about this stuff, but I don't need to go into detail about that here. Okay. We have come here to shift things, to wake up, achieve the highest level we can achieve in order to shift this so that this can become heaven on earth where evil no longer reigns, very simply put. Okay, all the horrific things, the trafficking that's going on, the cults that brainwash, that are the religions that brainwash people to think that they're praying to fucking source when they're not. They're praying to Satan and doing all these rituals and ceremonies in church that just fuel the energy of all the evil in the world, and they're too dumb and blind and brainwashed to realize that that's what they're really doing. And then they call everyone else Satan worshipers, which is fucking ironically hilarious. All this stuff that's going on that we have to wake up to in order to shift and change and heal and elevate out of on this planet. Okay. How do you do that? It's such a big mission. When you zoom out, we came here for such a massive, massive mission, and there is so much to accomplish. And how do we accomplish it? Think about this, okay? Universe, galaxy, planet, individual beings on the planet. The macro, the being that exists, has all of these planets, galaxies inside of it existing. It's like a being that has its organs working that are supposed to work in unison, in oneness together for the health and the thriving of the bigger being. No different than you and I have a physical body, and we have organs, and we have cells, and we have bones, and we have vessels and veins, right? Arteries and veins. We have a brain. And do you understand? So you have a whole skeletal system inside of your body, which is a complete system, a whole system of its own inside of the bigger vessel. And yet it's one part of the system where, what if you suddenly had no bones in your body? What would happen to your body? You would have no structure, right? You just melt down in a pile of mush. Ugh, gross. What happens if there's one thing wrong with your system? If you have liver failure, and all you have to do, you don't have to be a medical expert. Google, symptoms of liver problems and diseases caused by, complications caused by liver failure. Go Google that and spend just 2 minutes. What then happens to the rest of your organ system? What happens to the rest of your body? All the different systems that are actually one system. Do you see it? All the different systems that are actually one system. So in oneness, because that's where we come from, oneness consciousness, the highest level we can achieve, because nothing functions outside of oneness. We all function in oneness, whether we're aware of it and what that means, or we're ignorant to it. We've been brainwashed in separation consciousness for so long. We think that, oh, me, myself, and I am so special and important. Everything that I want to do and achieve, it's about me, 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 me. That's part of the fucking patriarchal brainwashing. That's cult brainwashing, so that you'll never function as a whole system, meaning to become one with the whole planet. Do you understand that on planet Earth, like in our bodies, the organs, the cells, the bones, the arteries, the veins, they're all separate systems, and yet they're all one system. Do you see it? So on planet Earth, the mountains, different types of land, the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, the beings on it are like cells in a body. The humans on it are like cells of a body. What happens when you get cancer cells that are growing out of control in your physical body? What happens? It's malignant cancer cells, and it's spreading like wildfire. What is your prognosis there? Do you now understand that we are the fucking malignant cancer cells to Mother Earth? And if Mother Earth is nothing more than a cell to a bigger picture, or an organ in the bigger system that is the galaxy, now think of a galaxy as a body, and one of the organs, planet Earth, is dying, is cancerous, is malignant. What chain reaction happens to the rest of the being, the body, the galaxy? Are you here? Are you following my analogy? So if we're malignant cancer and we're creating Earth to die off and be nothing but war and evil and darkness, malignant cancer, and we do that to planet Earth, and then planet Earth as a whole, because we're one, becomes nothing but malignant cancer because she's dying off. What does that Earth, that planet, that quote unquote organ in the bigger body, what chain reaction happens in the galaxy because of that, in that bigger body? If your heart dies, you have a heart attack, your heart, boom, dead. What? It doesn't matter that other organs in your body were really healthy and perfect. Does it? Your heart's gone. There are certain organs and certain parts of your body, ooh, that no longer exists. Okay, well, we can live without that. But there are not many things in our bodies that we can live without. There's only so much damage to the whole system that can occur before the physical body shuts down and dies and your soul moves on. Do you comprehend this? And that is the same thing that is happening to Earth in the spiritual warfare. Evil wants to take it over and own it and suck the life force energy out of all the animals, all the plants, all the beings that live here. All the humans are slaves. This is what they're doing. So what is awakening for real? Ooh, did we just learn a more elevated level of what it means to awaken today? It means to awaken to the fact that just like in your individual physical body, you have a blood cell, for example, or a kidney cell in your kidney. You have a heart cell in the organ of the heart, a smaller being that is a part of a bigger being. A heart cell is a part of a bigger being, which is the heart organ. The organ is a smaller being that is a part of a bigger being called the human body. You see how this all works? We are nothing but imprints of source itself, of everything that exists in everything. In the entire universe, you have the entire universe in your goddamn body. Your body represents the entire universe. So how can we heal the universe? How can we heal the galaxy? How can we heal the planet? Is we heal ourselves. We master ourselves. If I master this being called Rachel, this physical body that is a part of a bigger, expansive, eternal being that is Rachel, that we're just calling Rachel. If I master everything I'm here to master, I master myself in human form, then I'm healing essentially the entire universe, the entire galaxy, the entire planet. I am on that side of things when I master myself, because my body represents the entire fucking universe. Every being on this planet that is a living being represents and has the entire universe in them. You are the universe. Down to the smallest particle that makes up your physical self. That smallest particle is a part of a bigger particle, is a part of a bigger thing, a bigger thing, a bigger thing, a whole person, a whole physical body, which is a part of a bigger body, a bigger physical thing, the earth. Does this make sense to you? We are the macro and we are the micro. Welcome to Oneness Consciousness Teachings. We are both simultaneously, always and forever. So when you can't get your shit together and you're drowning in your inner child wound that keeps getting triggered, and you're not taking responsibility, the first way of oneness, to heal that cancerous shit inside of you that should no longer be a part of who you are, then you are the cancer that is helping to destroy the planet, and you're on the side of evil. When you decide, I'm not going to let any of my traumas, any of this stupid racism bullshit, I'm not a part of that anymore. Any of this misogynistic fucking bullshit, I'm not a part of that anymore. I'm not a part of enslavement anymore, because I'm willing to take responsibility and become every single universal way of oneness, which means I'm willing to find the cure for cancer, so to speak. I'm no longer willing to be the cancer. Do you understand? That's finding the cure for cancer. We are the cancer. So I elevate and I rise. And I become the way of humility, because I humbly accept how I am still a part of these systems that were imprinted and brainwashed and I'm conditioned to be a part of. Do you understand that? There's no shame in that. There is shame in you refusing to elevate out of it. There's the shame. And you deserve the fucking shame. With the condition of our planet, with the condition of humans, with the condition of the way animals are treated on this planet, how in God's name do we still have practices where we are animal testing? How are we still doing that and we call ourselves civilized? There's no such thing as being a civilized person of the light, a divine person, a quote unquote good person. When you then buy the products and pay for animal testing to continue, you're paying barbarians, you're paying torturous murderers to torture beings, innocent divine beings. And you're too ignorant and brainwashed and dumb and blind to say that's any different than a fucking serial killer who's out murdering 400 women, because the animal testing is science. Well, serial killer, that's science for them. They cut up body parts, they eat them, they want to see what it feels like. They're experimenting. Sick, disgusting. Scientists are sick and disgusting too. They are. Because you wear a white coat, somehow you have an education. The fact that you're educated, you should realize now it's a system of fucking indoctrination. Why are you educated to torture living beings, to cause them severe pain, and to have them live their lives the way you have them live their lives? But we're somehow a superior being? Have you woken up yet? We're the fucking cancer. That's really what this episode should be called. Humans are the malignant cancer of everything. Oh, that's a negative way to look at things. Only if you take it that way. When you realize the truth of all of it, you should be empowered to say, holy shit, I've awakened more today. And it should be inspiring, and it should actually be uplifting. It isn't anything to feel negative about. It isn't anything to feel depressed about. It isn't anything to go into, oh no, what she's saying is true. And now, what the fuck programs are you running other than powerlessness? There's a lot of them you're running right now. Powerlessness is only one of them. That's the obvious one. What are you going to go into powerlessness for? I hear this shit. I know this shit is true. That's why I wake up every day. My number one motherfucking priority for Rachel Fiori is to elevate higher today than I was yesterday. Every fucking day. That's what I do. And I do it for a reason, because the beings on this planet deserve better. And I fucking live in oneness. Do you? The animals on this planet, the creatures on this planet that are so holy and so filled with unconditional love, that are so emanating divinity from their very essence, and we brutalize them and we torture them and we murder them, and you don't think twice about it, what you're contributing and how you're contributing to that. You're either the malignant cancer on the dark side of things, or you're choosing to heal and elevate and raise your level of consciousness, and it is your number one priority in life, because that means you're on the side of light, the side of divinity that is helping to shift everything, so that the evil and the cult leaders of the world can no longer brainwash and enslave and create this type of evil and torture anymore. It's horrifying what goes on. It is horrifying. The number of men on this planet that rape women and children and traffic. It is just horrifying. And they are doctors, and they are lawyers, and they are in government, and they are the highest positions in the leaders of the world. Entertainment purposes only. The fuck out of here. That's what we're up against. So have you stepped into your power yet? Are you ready to learn and elevate and go higher so you can make this massive shift and be a part of the shift in the way of divinity? Anybody who is sitting passively by, just watching and waiting for shit to happen, you're part of the fucking problem. Get off your asses. It's time to wake up for real, and it's time to raise our level of consciousness where it's so high that it's easy to comprehend that we are cells in a bigger body in a being called the earth. If you can't comprehend that and you're triggered by that, and you're like, what are you? Oh, you lost me now. Then you're part of the fucking problem, and you're who I'm addressing. And you make it harder on all of the warriors who are here waking up and doing everything they need to do to become more and more and more enlightened so they can help heal this goddamn planet. And you sit there in your everyday life and you're worried about whether you have a fucking life partner or not. Oh my God. I'm lonely. That's where you're still trapped. That you don't have a fucking girlfriend. That you don't have a significant other. That's where you're trapped right now. We have bigger things to do on this planet. Get out of your small little lives. Welcome to Waking Up for Real. The creation of loneliness is an energetic frequency. Get out of it. Connect to your divinity. You are connected to absolutely everything. The universe, the galaxy, all the planets, all the things. You're connected to all of it because you're it. You are all of it. And simultaneously, you're this small little person and this teeny tiny little cell that is alive inside of a bigger being with other quote unquote organs on this planet in this body that's called Earth. You are all of that at the same time. Do you understand? And that's exciting. You are so vast and expansive and eternal and big, and you are simultaneously teeny tiny and small and minuscule, which makes you more expansive than your brain can comprehend. You're all of it. You're everything. It means you're also the evil and the good, but not in the way that ignorant people teach it out there. You have good and bad in you. That's fucking ridiculous. Not in the way they teach it. I have yet to hear, and it doesn't mean they don't exist. I just haven't heard any. I have yet to hear a human being teach that at a level of true spiritual education. Accept your darkness. Fucking preschool level of spiritual education. Stop listening to preschool level teachers. You're not helping the planet or yourself in your life by doing that. You're all of it. And it isn't because you are good and bad, light and dark, positive and negative. That's preschool. You're all of it because oneness is the only thing that's real. Oneness is the only thing that actually exists. And in our physically manifested form, take a breath, here it is. In our physically manifested form, there needs to be no evil at all. We shouldn't be evil. There shouldn't be evil on this planet. There is no such thing. Both must exist. That's the dumbest, fucking most ignorant shit. And I've heard some really decently elevated, well-known teachers, spiritual teachers in the world who have written great books and offer a great deal of wisdom say that shit. And I just, I get so disappointed when I hear it. Because it's like, well, that's okay. They offer a lot of beautiful things. So one nugget of ignorance is okay. I mean, nobody knows it all, right? But I'm here to tell you and wake you up to even that. In our manifested forms, as we create life, and you are a creator of life because you're God incarnated. So we are creating and co-creating with one another all of the time on what the rules are while we're here. Whether you do it passively and in ignorance and have no idea you're contributing to that, or whether you're very consciously aware and anything in between. We don't have to create darkness and evil and violence and murder and war. We don't have to create any of that. We can create a place that is literally heaven, that is in harmony. And it doesn't mean you don't have challenges. We're here to be in a human form. And yes, it's going to be different than being our eternal formless selves. It's meant to be different. It doesn't mean we're meant to come here to experience traffickers raping, mutilating babies, children, women, murdering them and eating their body. No, that's not what has to be here. It doesn't mean that we have to have serial killers. It doesn't mean that a good percentage of men rape women all the fucking time. That's not what has to be here. We don't have to go to war and battle each other and create genocide in whatever form we feel like committing genocide. We don't have to have any of that. Good and evil always exists is a load of motherfucking bullshit. It exists because we create it and we allow it to exist. The way of purity, oneness consciousness itself, the creator itself doesn't have both. That doesn't exist. But you can only comprehend that when you are at a high enough level of consciousness to comprehend that teaching. It exists because we create it. It doesn't have to exist. It can cease to exist. And all you religious brainwashed freaks out there, if God created it, you don't even understand anything. Get out of here. You are God incarnated. You create it. because there was one thing that was created called free will choice, and we've gone, fuck that up. So now we have to right our wrongs. We have to fix it, which is why all these spiritual warriors have incarnated, especially this lifetime, to heal our ignorance, our mistakes that we have created and lived by. And people that are born here and incarnating in this lifetime, that have incarnated, the humans that have incarnated for centuries, they've been enslaved for centuries now. We have been enslaved for centuries now. And we have powerful people that come to try to make a difference and all of that. And it hasn't worked at all, quite frankly. And we've had incredible teachers come here. And yet we are still so dumb and blind and ignorant and at a low level of consciousness. We worship a fucking teacher, particular teacher. And then the church just brainwashes you, creates a fucking book that has all these lies in it in order to brainwash you some more. And you just blindly follow. And you think you're on the good side of things in life. You're helping Satan rule the fucking planet, you idiots. I mean, come on. Let's wake up for real. We're in a spiritual war. What side are you on? Energetically, you have to feel what is inside of you. What are your traumas? What are programs that you run? And it's time to heal them all so that you can be on the right side of things. You came here to be a motherfucking warrior. Okay. You ask anybody in the military, whether you personally have experienced it because you were in or are in the military, or you've just watched shit on TV. Let's just say that your only experience with war and military and all of that is by watching movies on TV. Let's say that, all the way to people who actually serve. Everything in between. Anybody can understand, even if all you ever did was watch on TV. I am in no way insulting and minimizing the men and women that are in the military. Don't you dare misunderstand the teaching right now. Don't you dare. Because your misunderstanding of the teaching means that you're the one who's dishonoring those men and women, not me. And I don't want those men and women dishonored because they deserve better. I'll make that very clear. But whatever your exposure to that is, anybody, even if you've only ever seen it on TV, can comprehend. How do you prepare to go to war? How do you prepare to go to battle? You don't just take men and women off the street, put them in the same color uniform, give them a gun, and say, we're shipping you off to go murder people. That's not how it works. There is a tremendous amount of learning, a tremendous amount of training, a tremendous amount of exhaustive, I can't even imagine the type of training that they have to go through. And if anybody's in the military listening, please comment below, by the way. Give people a clue who have no clue. I've never been in the military. I don't pretend to have a clue. I've had a ton of clients over the years that were veterans. That's my only exposure to this stuff. And that's part of the reason why I'm giving it as an example. Because even in the ignorance, you have no experience, no knowledge of something firsthand, you can easily comprehend the teaching of, hey, they don't just show up one day, get a uniform, pair of boots and a gun, and then they go off to war. It takes a tremendous amount of training on so many different levels to prepare to be a person who can handle a war, a fight, a battle, life and death, hand-to-hand combat. In whatever part of the military, doesn't matter. You understand it takes an insane amount of training. And what if you then specialize? What if you're special ops? What if you work in, higher levels of the military, which I don't even know anything other than special ops. so I can't give a specific example. But that requires more higher level training. Do you see where I'm getting with this example? We're in a war, people. So if you can understand an easy military example, because you've seen enough movies, you can understand as a spiritual warrior, as a mystical warrior who came here to fight against evil and darkness on this planet, that you need to go to training. You need to train, you need to elevate, and your training is mastering yourself. That's your training for battle. Otherwise, you're not ready for battle. Ask anybody in the military, how are they ready for battle? How do they go, even if they don't feel like they ever are? Because how could you ever truly be ready? But, meaning emotionally, but you are. So your training is mastering yourself. Your training is mastering your body. Your training is mastering your emotional body, your mental body, your physical body. We're constantly being poisoned. Allegedly. Put that fucking nonsense out there. Entertainment purposes only. Educational purposes only. Okay? Is that so I don't get taken down? Constantly being fucking poisoned. Forever chemicals in everything, especially in the United States of America. They don't allow what we call bread in the United States of America is banned in other countries. Do you understand? What you're eating is forever chemicals to destroy you and break your system down and break your physical body down. Not to kill you, to make you sick. Because then you're part of the sick care system, pharmaceutical system, and you're part of the corporations where you're buying all the shit to begin with. Everybody's billionaires, but you're sick. And then you're trapped in survival mode, and then you're just a slave to the system, making them all money. It's all done by design. That's part of your training for this war, spiritual warrior. How do you master your mental state? How do you heal your own depression? How do you heal your traumas, your anxiety, your PTSD? How do you get rid of it so it's no longer part of who you are? And uniting with other people who are warriors doing the same goddamn thing. Because we are here to win this war. And we're winning. But you have to realize at the level that you're here to function, and mastering yourself is a requirement, or you're not on the right side of things. Connect to your divinity, connect to your light, become the higher vibrational frequencies of the universal ways of oneness. Become them. So that's where you vibrate. You vibrate at those levels. Do you understand? Depression cannot exist inside of you. Do you understand that? That the poison that's creating sicknesses and illnesses, this is you learning how to master yourself to get to such a high state of being that I realize this is also poison, then I don't consume that. And I don't buy those products from that corporation anymore because fuck them. And I heal my body, but you can't heal your body from these things. We are constantly being fed cancer-causing poisons, chemicals, forever chemicals that cause cancer. Do you understand that? Our bodies are in a war. And it is a war that is on us that we didn't want to ever participate in to begin with, especially if you're in the United States of America. Our bodies are in a war. The food, the water, the air, all forever chemicals growing in the plants and put in the animals and the food that we then consume. So in order to win that battle, the war that we're in, stop buying the food with forever chemicals in it. Stop eating in restaurants that offer all of those foods, which almost all of them do. Hello, wake up for real. Unless it's all organic, unless it's regenerative farm to table. Stop buying it. Stop going out to eat. How is anybody in this country going to a motherfucking fast food restaurant? How are any fast food places still in business, people? You're not a warrior if that's the shit you're doing. You're on the wrong side of things. You're employing and paying the elites, and you're employing them and you're paying them to poison you. And you think you're on the right side of things because you're spiritual, but I got McDonald's today. That fucking idiocracy. I mean, how do we function at this level and call ourselves spiritual and awakened and all the things? Well, this episode was a slap in the face, wasn't it? I sure hope you get it to a degree in your level of consciousness that you can feel the empowerment in it. How is anybody going to a fast food restaurant? How do they exist? We keep them in business. We keep them in business. They wouldn't exist if we all stopped using them. Don't ever get your fucking kids chicken nut McNuggets. Stop. What is wrong with you? You're poisoning your children, and you're paying cult leader, patriarchal, psychopathic elites billions of dollars to poison you and your children. Which side of the war are you on? You can't function like that and claim to be on the divine side of things. Stop paying for it. We have all the power. All of it. Stop paying for it. Stop buying the crap. Stop using your purchasing power to keep all of these corporations in existence. And I know it can be really overwhelming because they're everywhere. And they change. There's the other tricky thing that they love to do, because they're the ones that are multi-billionaires and trillionaires, and they can just fucking do this shit. And it's hard for us when you're not a multi-billionaire, that they can just buy out companies and you never knew that company that you thought was once safe and you're supporting a good company, a good organization, and then all of a sudden they're bought out and you never knew. And then there's poison in there or whatever. I mean, that's the stuff that they do. I didn't say it was easy. I didn't say it was black and white. It is easy to the degree where there are certain things. Just never buy from that corporation ever again. Now, the tricky part is those corporations own other corporations, own other corporations. That's where it gets tricky. Guys, listen. I get that. I'm not judging anybody. Don't you ever judge anybody. How dare you? You're just as fucked up as the elites if you do. Get your judgment out of here. Nobody's here to judge anybody. Okay? I get how complicated and tricky, and especially if you're newer to the awakening process, it's like, holy shit, this is all so overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be. That's just a program you're running. Make a decision. Great. Now that I know a lot of this, I will never buy fast food again. And I'm going to mention to every person that ever says they're going through a drive-through, I don't know why you would do that. Those are forever chemicals that literally are meant to cause cancer in your body, so that your hormones are disrupted, so that things malfunction, so that you get problems and some level of sickness in your body, so that the billionaires who are already billionaires make more billions off of you being sick. I don't know why the hell you'd eat that shit. And when they say, oh my God, calm down, you're powerful enough to say, well, I'm not the one that needs to calm down. You're the one that needs to wake up. Maybe you should rethink your choices in life and leave it at that. Oh, but I don't know. They might not like me. How the fuck do you call yourself a warrior? If you can't even handle one of your friends being like, oh my God, fucking relax. Like, that's a big deal. Like, you make a big deal of everything. Look at how over emotional you are. If you can't handle people calling you emotional and projecting onto you like, oh my God, look how angry she is. When there's no anger, they don't know fuck all with vibrational frequencies. You can feel the frequencies flowing and emanating from a person 100% of the time when you're elevated enough and you've learned the art of subtle energies. You can feel if somebody's teaching or offering something and they're actually coming from anger. So the ignorance and the stupidity in people when they project is hilarious. It's like it's like stand-up comedy. You actually care what those people in their ignorance are going to project onto you or say about you or their reaction to you. You're that fucking worried with somebody who's pathetic. You're judging. No, I'm not. They're not inferior. They are pathetic. See the fucking difference. They're in a different grade. Are you really upset and mad when your toddler throws a tantrum and says, I hate you? Really? Like, you're going to let a toddler ruin your whole fucking day because they're like, I don't like you. You didn't give me cookie before dinner. And yet, but that's what humans are walking around doing. And you're too pathetic and weak yourself. You're too powerless yourself to tell people the fucking truth. I don't know why the hell you'd go to fast food when it's blah, 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 blah. And then you're pissed off that you have diabetes. But You eat fast food. You buy chemicals. It's not food. That's not food. Those are chemicals. And then you're mad that you have cancer and diabetes. I don't understand. Like, wake up to what you're putting in your body. You're here to master yourself, because only in mastering yourself and going through these types of battles of being poisoned, but I'm going to end the poison consumption to whatever degree I have control over, because only then can I really elevate and heal for real and get this shit out of my body over time. Okay? And that's just one of many examples. And warriors who are training for the bigger war, going to war for real, the really gruesome, horrific things that happen on this planet, how are you ever going to be able to handle that? If you can't even discern the difference in a podcast episode, judgment when it doesn't exist, anger when it doesn't exist. Oh, I love the when people say rageful, you're rageful, or you're Satan. I'm like, oh my God, you go to church every fucking Sunday and you do satanic fucking rituals, you idiot. But I'm somehow a Satan worshiper. Okay. Oh, this is the level of ignorance and stupidity and brainwashing that we're up against. Why do you think it takes warriors to heal this shit in humanity, people? Come on. You're in training because there's a real war going on this planet of evil, of satanic, demonic, psychotic enslavement bullshit at the highest levels that exist. And you're here to stop it. Did you know that? That's why you're here. That is why you're on this planet. That's why you're alive listening to this right now, because you're here to stop it. How do you stop it? By changing policies and rules and laws and regulations? You can't be that stupid. You stop it by mastering yourself and joining together with other people who are here to do the same. That's how you stop it. That's how powerful we are. We have all the power. But if you're disconnected from yours, what side of the war are you on? Let that sink in. I love you. Thank you for listening.